What's going on, grappling fans?
First, I'll get this week to prepare mentally in the game.
Roberto's your weak guy.
All our matches have been pretty close.
Who's number one? What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Who's Number One podcast. The very first one of the year. 2021 is upon us.
We're back.
I'm your host, Chase Smith. Joining me today, as usual, Howell Teague. Howell, welcome to the new year. What's going on, man? What's happening?
2021. This is the year that everything changes, right?
Things are changing.
That's
indeed.
what they say.
If you've been watching the news today, it's been an interesting ride. But we still have some work to do as far as covering 2020. The FloGrappling Awards are a great project we do each year. This is our fifth or fourth one, Hal?
The fifth annual FloGrappling Awards. The end of every year, going into the beginning of the next year, what we do is we take a look back at the previous 12 months and we highlight the breakout performances, the best moments, the best athletes, and obviously we like to honor those. And we started, 4 years already have been done, so this is our fifth one. And I got to say, I'm really excited for it because we have opened the voting to the public, as we always do, and we're able to track the voting, kind of like, the progress as it goes. And at the moment, there's about 300% more votes than last year. So there's a lot of
300?
interest. 300%.
That's quite a bit.
That's a lot more. So, a lot of people are interested in the results of this one and invested. So, some pretty good categories, right, Chase?
Absolutely. And just to clarify how it works a little bit, there's a panel vote, right, Hal?
Correct.
There's us, the esteemed FloGrappling staff, plus you guys at home. Today, I think, is it through tomorrow night at midnight, or is it through tonight at midnight?
No, it's through... Yeah, that's a good
As
question.
far as the voting is concerned. We'll double check that for you. But you guys make up one vote
End
on
of day
this
Friday.
panel.
End of day Friday. It's end of day Friday. You can vote up until the end of day Friday, and that's when we'll kind of close it, and then we'll announce the winners on Monday.
Right. And as you mentioned there, we've already had a massive increase, so we know you've seen the opportunity to vote. You're aware of the awards, but in case you haven't, there it is. And this year, we've narrowed it down to 5 categories. We've kind of changed this around over the years, but I'm really happy with what we've got on this edition of the awards. I'll list them off for you now. We have Breakthrough Grappler of the Year. Kind of, it's not Rookie of the Year, right? That's be a misnomer. What's the difference between Rookie and Breakthrough?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, the Breakthrough can be a little bit of anything, to be honest with you, because, excuse me, I'm sorry. The Breakthrough can be a little bit of anything because it might be somebody who has been kind of floating around, on the scene for a little while. Maybe they've been competing and they've just had that year in their career where all of a sudden you can't not notice them, But it could also be somebody who's come out of nowhere, maybe who's somebody who just like came from relative obscurity and has won a bunch of stuff. Or it could be somebody who's been working their way up through the ranks and progressing steadily. So Breakthrough Grappler is a very broad description, but it's really for that kind of person who they're not an established name on the scene. Maybe you know who they are, but this is the year that they've really made their mark on the grappling landscape. And I think that's the best way to describe it.
Absolutely. Well, we've got our nominees here. Should we go ahead and run that?
Yeah.
And let's let the folks at home see who's been nominated for the 2020 Breakthrough Grappler of the Year. Let's play that, Tyler, if you could.
This event have a hunter style, likes to go for the kill, ADCC veteran, so many submissions under her belt.
There it is. I'm someone not to be underestimated. I'm someone not to be overlooked. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I'm here. I'm here to win. I'm here to compete and win, not just here to compete. I'm here to win and beat these guys.
Looks like she's trying to get on an arm. Here's Gatis. Man, Gatis is just attack after attack after attack. Trying to turn that wrist over top. Hitchhiker escapes through for Briggs, and she's going to get the tap.
Samuel Nagai. And look at this, Sam Nagai with the belly down front lock. There it is, gets the submission. Nagai gets the finish.
And it feels good. New goals, bigger goals now. And that's it. Can't wait.
William Tackett. Look at this. Stepping over on top. We'll go for the triangle here. Tackett on a triangle. Got a Kimura here as well. And there is the finish. Tackett gets the tap.
There
That's
you
a
have
solid
it.
list.
Man, that's one of my favorite categories. They're all amazing, but I love seeing a fresh face on the scene because let's be honest, the top ranks don't change too much. A few guys switch positions from 1, 2, and 3, but really we see kind of an elite level not move too much, but then you have maybe 1 or 2 breakthroughs that really shake up the entire scene.
Yeah, for sure. And just to address something very quickly, a few people have asked, like, well, where's Ty Ruotolo? Where is Roberto Jimenez? Well, the truth is that we feel that Ty already had his breakout year in 2019.
With the ADCC, of course. I mean,
ADCC.
of many accomplishments, but that being the perhaps brightest.
Exactly. He competed. He had, fight to win victory against Wagner Hoscher. He was on Grapple Fest, and of course the ADCC performance. That was the breakout year for Ty. This year he went into it, even though he was a brand new brown belt, is an established name. So the 6 names on this list, very interesting to note that all but 5 of those people were promoted to black belt this year. Only William Tackett is still a brown belt. But Tynan, Elizabeth Clay, Samuel Nagai, Josh Cisneros, and Rafael Aguedes, all of them were promoted to black belt sometime this last 12 months. And but you could say that all of them have gone on to do big things in that short space of time. So
100%. I mean, we could go through each of their accomplishments. We don't have time for that today, but if you haven't watched any of their matches, go on the site, check them out, because they've taken out some elite level competition.
Yeah.
When I think of Rafael Aguedes, she got her black belt and won pans like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, insane, right? Josh Cisneros had a bunch of great matches, taking out some again, decorated veteran black belts in his very first year.
also pan champion.
Also pan champion, and also being relatively unheralded as a color belt. Yes, he was good.
Right.
Yes, he's among the best, but not someone that was at the top of everyone's tongue or mind for the years. Right. This was his first year where he
Didn't
really
come from a big team or
broke
anything,
out. Yeah,
right?
so
Yeah.
It's a fun list. I really like that award, and I'm very curious to see who comes out on top. It's a very competitive, I guess, division there.
Yeah, it is.
Category.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all 6 are very deserving candidates. So, it's absolutely crucial as well that in these razor-thin categories that you have your say.
All right. Next up on our docket, we have Male Grappler of the Year. This is an extremely competitive group of athletes here.
Loaded.
Man, it's hard to make this decision. I was wavering on a few different options, but
You don't have to say who you voted for.
I
It's
won't.
okay.
I'm not giving that away. I don't want to influence you at home. But despite being a very weird year for competition, every athlete on this list was extremely active, Hal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely missed some big names from the jiu-jitsu scene this year, right? There were those who elected to compete as much as possible, and there were those who, for one reason or another, did not. And some of them, literally, we haven't seen compete all year. Really notable by their absences. However, the 6 men, listed for the Male Grappler of the Year, they're all very familiar faces. They're all active, so it's not like they've taken the place of more deserving candidates through inactivity or anything like that. No, these are all black belts at the absolute top of their game, and I think that we'll see now with this video just exactly why they deserve to be voted for this.
All right, let's go ahead and see the nominees then for the 2020 Male Grappler of the Year.
Really tight. Oh my goodness, how fast was that triangle? It's gonna be on in the top. What?
Gordon Ryan, #1 ranked pound for pound and under 99 kilogram grappler in the world. Wow.
Almost on the arm bar.
That looks dangerous. Pressure on the shoulder. There it is. There's the finish.
Lucas Hulk Barboza. Hulk has been very, very busy in 2020. He's been competing gi and no gi. Lucas is the best.
Bruno Cyborg, the 6-time no gi world champion, ADCC absolute champion.
Your winner, Roberto Cyborg Abreu. Roberto Jimenez. And there's Roberto with a good takedown.
That's it! Victor Hugo, the young black belt, one of the baddest men on the planet. The guy who's just now making his name in the game.
Man, another really fun category. So many great matches and memories. I'm thinking of Cyborg's year in general, just insane to me. I mean,
man, every single one of those guys on that list, in that short little 1 minute video right there, there's some real rousing victories.
Right?
I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I remember that. That's pretty hype, So
it was like I said, it was a very strange year, but man, there were some standout moments I really enjoyed, especially of course our Who's Number One shows. Not to tip the hat, but there's so much work that goes into that, and to have them. I guess with the payoff of those great matches unfold is so satisfying on a lot of different levels. But anyone jump out at you, Hal? Here, I don't want to have you reveal your vote, but I mean, who are your front runners if you could pick a few names?
So, I mean, I look for a number of factors when I'm trying to pick somebody for this. I look for things like versatility. I look for things like the consistency. I look for the various opposition that they faced. So I definitely lean towards maybe more the versatile guys who do a little bit of everything, go back and forth between gi and no gi, go back and forth between rule sets, points versus submission only, and what have you. So, those are the ones that usually kind of catch my eye. But I think that you could probably say that applies to most of them. I mean, Roberto Jimenez, he literally got his black belt right at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And that was his rookie year. Well, he made a mark. It wasn't always a great year for him. He had some extreme highs and he had some pretty down lows as well. And you could say the same for a few of them. The guys like Felipe Andrew has had amazing performances, and then yet he's also lost pretty spectacularly as well. Same goes for Lucas Barboza. Lucas Barboza has had some incredible wins against some huge names, and then at the same time, has lost by submission in upsets and stuff. So it's a really difficult category to kind of really define who deserves to be the male grappler of the year. I think the real thing that they're going to have to look for a little bit this year is the X factor. Is like what sets somebody apart from everybody else on that list, because it's a very, very competitive lineup.
Yeah, I think you said it best there. Really competitive, and a lot of these guys traded wins over the course of the season, except for Gordon Ryan and Cyborg. Both had basically undefeated year. Cyborg did lose at Masters Worlds, but that's a gi tournament for Masters athletes. It's not quite what we're looking at for a male grappler of the year. So anyways, that was again, tough choice to make. I hope you guys take your time and really think about who deserves to win that one, because there are a lot of deserving folks on that list, but there can only be one. And that takes us right along then to Female Grappler of the Year. Again, extremely competitive group of athletes here. Hard choice to make. And I really enjoyed watching all these athletes compete, though, Hal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Female Grappler of the Year, if you look at the list of names, I feel like it was maybe a little harder to really pick because we had a short list that was not short for every category. You know what I'm saying? We had like a long list of potential nominations for each single category. Whereas the only one that didn't have that, I feel, was the Female Grappler of the Year, because we just saw less competition for the ladies in 2020. We saw some very notable events. Of course, all the IBJJF Opens attracted, a solid amount of talent, as you mentioned. That Rafael Aguirre's going and winning pans 2 weeks after getting promoted, and coming back and doing no-gi pans, a month later. Those are really significant wins. But I think one of the very helpful was, of course, the Super Fight series that goes on across various promotions, including Who's Number One, Fight to Win, that gave really high-level professional female grapplers the opportunity to compete. And then, of course, a big shout-out to the Third Coast Grappling, the Kumite, which was an all-woman invitational tournament, 8 women going in, and that was really helpful in kind of picking some front-runners for this, because it gave us an opportunity to, like I said, in the male division, to assess different performances in different environments under different conditions. And of course, that is really what we're looking for when we're making the assessment as to who deserves the title of Female Grappler of the Year.
There you have it, folks. There's a criteria we're looking for. Tyler, let's go ahead and run the nominees here for Female Grappler of the Year, please.
I would like to thank my team, Aviv, my wife, for all the support. Thank you so much. We did it.
Elizabeth have a hunter style, likes to go for the kill. So many submissions under her belt.
There it is.
Gabby Garcia, the 4-time ADCC champion, most accomplished grappler in the ADCC women's division. Look at that guard passing from Garcia. And what a match that was.
The #1 strawweight in the world, Maisa Bastos, in the 2 years or so that she's been a black belt competitor. She's beat everybody she's gone up against. Looks like she's trying to get on an arm here as Gatis. Man, Gatis is just attack after attack after attack. Came through for Briggs and she's going to get the tap.
Natalie Ribeiro, she's number 5 ranked in the world. She most recently won Nogi World Championships. Natalie Ribeiro takes this one 2-1.
And we're back. Another, man, so many meaningful moments, I think took place at Who's Number One, actually. You know, when I'm watching these matches, we see the footage there, it's like, oh, that match was on Who's Number One.
Yeah.
I can't wait for those events to come back. And we do have some surprises coming soon for that series.
Yeah, announcements coming soon. Don't miss those. But you know something interesting about this, the lineup of nominees as well. The two of the people voted for the Female Grappler of the Year are also on the Breakthrough Grappler of the Year. They're in contention for that. So you've got Elizabeth Clay and Rafaela Guedes. They're both up for the Female Grappler of the Year and the Breakthrough Grappler of the Year because both of them really they shone so brightly in 2020. They both were promoted from brown to black belt, and they both had amazing performances that not only have, like we said, that put them on the map, that's what we're looking for with the Breakthrough, but so much so, put them in contention for Female Grappler of the Year. That's incredible.
That is amazing. And it's kind of, when you think about Liz Clay, it's interesting to think about her trajectory because she had that incredible run when she was, 15? When she won
16,
ADC trials.
15, 16,
right around then. But then it was kind of sidelined by injuries for a little while and really didn't quite hit the peak that she might have been able to. But we saw her come around in 2020 and really just run through the competition and make a name for herself. So, yeah, very, very tough choices to make there. I really can't wait to see them back in action in 2021. And I hope you guys take your time, cast your votes, and we'll find out on Monday who takes home the title of 2020 Female Grappler of the Year. Moving right along then to our next division, we're going to get to Match of the Year. Now, this is a tough one, Hal, because there are so many good matches. We only can narrow it down to 6. I mean,
it was a long list, right? It was not a short list. It was a long list. I think the longest list was the Submission of the Year. We had a lot of very good candidates for the Submission of the Year, but there were some really, really standout matches in 2020 as well. And I think what surprised some people as well is that some of these actually took place before the coronavirus, It's like in the before times, but it feels so long ago that literally people are like, oh, that was 2020, like, wow, I didn't even realize that it was so long ago. So, when we looked at the entire year's worth of results, I mean, there was some big events in 2020, right, Chase?
It wasn't what you would expect from a jiu-jitsu season, but it did provide. People got really creative. Shout out to all the event promoters out there that worked really hard to make things happen. Of course, the athletes as well that took matches on less than optimal training conditions, kind of made it work, and getting through it together as one kind of big family in a way. You just got to get through it. And we were rewarded as fans with some amazing matches. And like you said, yeah, some of them feel like they're 2 years ago or more just because the time dilation that is in the COVID world.
Should we roll the video?
Let's roll the video and see the nominees then for Best Match of 2020.
Oh, there's a big shot there
that's
from
a statement.
Dante Leon.
That's a big statement.
Matt, look at that, wrestling
beautiful.
up from Leon, and now looking to go higher on the body.
Love this match.
And there's a lot of power in wrist lock.
She's known for that sort of full set. Oh, it looks tight as well.
Brilliant, 10 minutes in the ball. That's a good one.
Oh, nice. That's the chest that still used.
Now there's a back take. Dante Leon now with an arm around the neck.
Mulder jumps. Really hit it, and he jumps a triangle. He barnbar a chin by Osvaldo. Good match. Good match. And there's Roberto with a good takedown. Heavyweight in the world. And Keenan got the back take. That's it.
A lot of wild moments there. And interesting facts. Of course, you saw that Dante Leon was nominated for no less than 2 matches this year.
Yeah.
This is Gary Tonon's 3rd time up for Match of the Year. He's won 2 years in a row, Hal.
And he could win this year again.
Exactly.
You know, that's Gary Tonon for you. You know,
I mean,
nothing
who's
less.
surprised by that? But a lot of fun moments. I completely forgot about that AJ Agazarm Casino match, but it's insane. It's an insane match.
That was one of the very first fight to win events that were held under the closed door conditions. You know, right at the very beginning of the shutdown. And what I really like about the 6 matches that are up for Match of the Year is that they're various rule sets, various formats, gi and no gi. There's a little bit of everything. You know, Fionn versus Tajani
got an absolute match.
That was an absolute match. It was I think it was 20 minutes. It was either 15 or 20 minutes. Submission only match. It was wild. You know, it was amazing. Then Roberto versus Keenan. That was a points match, a gi match right at the beginning of the year. That was Roberto's first ever match as a black belt was against Keenan. Keishino versus AJ, of course, was a fight to win rules, a gi match. Gary versus Dante was a who's number 1 submission only match. Dante versus Cody, same deal, who's number 1 submission only match. And then Felipe Andrew versus Murillo Santana was the points match in IBJJF in the absolute division at Pans in October. And, you know, those are 6 very, very different matches and deserving of the honor in very different ways. So I'm not sure what the defining factor is here to make a decision. Like, I have my personal preference as to what I look for, but I can't really say. It's not like the male or the female grappler of the year where I know that, okay, this is what we are assessing here. It's like, man, you either know it or you don't, right?
That's fair. And what's interesting is that I'm looking at this. Remind me, did Fionn and Tajani end a submission to
No, it was a decision.
These are all decisions, I think, or points. I don't think there's.
They all went the distance. Yeah. That's correct. None of them ended with a submission. Wow,
that's kind of interesting. But they're all super exciting. So I guess it doesn't have to be a sub sometimes if it's entertaining enough. I mean,
well, I think of Match of the Year as well. Generally, what you're looking for in Match of the Year is a back and forth. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's got to be, you know, sort of evenly matched and back and forth. And each of those matches are that. But what do you look for in Match of the Year? Like, you know, what's your kind of
Well, I think you laid it out right there. A little bit of drama, right? Like a one-sided match isn't Match of the Year. If someone just gets stomped out, I mean, that's maybe fun to watch, but not Match of the Year. I want to see somebody make a comeback, ideally a Match of the Year. Or just nonstop aggression, like you would see in a Dante Leon match. Basically, that's why he's nominated twice.
Pure entertainment.
Yeah, but back and forth. I want to see each athlete get a lick in. You know, have their chance. So a lot of fun matches there, and of course, so many more that were on the short list, like you said, that didn't quite make the cut for the final vote. But there were some great matches this year, Hal.
Yeah, there was some really notable moments from 2020, and believe me, that list could have been a lot longer. But of course, you know, we need to get it down to 6 per category. So.
And while there weren't any subs, kind of surprisingly, on Match of the Year, well, this category makes up for that as we have Submission of the Year. And yeah, there were, again, so many great chances and opportunities for us to look at for this nomination, but had to limit it to 6. Let's go ahead and roll the trailer and see what we got here.
Really tight. Oh my goodness, how fast was that triangle? It's gonna be on. It's a top! What?
Albane just about managing to keep his elbow in. That looks dangerous, pressure on the shoulder. There it is, there's the finish. Gordon Ryan wins.
Tirar aquela perna dali, tio.
Não é fácil assim tirar a perna dali, não.
He's going to try to either trap that arm or get himself to a triangle. There's the arm, and he's tapped quick, arm-lock. And I'll tell you, Kennedy Maciel by arm-lock finish over Juni, trying to
find a way out of this terrible position. Really, a choke could be on here. There is the finish.
Some great memories there, and
huge,
man, explosive jiu-jitsu featured in Submission of the Year. Like we saw in Match of the Year, a lot of different venues and rule sets shown there. A lot of different athletes, some that aren't even necessarily at the top of everyone's mind, like Igor Tanabe, otherwise known as Fat Ninja. that's kind of a random event, right? All Japan, just a small, relatively small tournament in comparison to some of these, but you cannot deny the power of that submission, Hal.
Yeah, we put it up on our Instagram today. We've talked about this already just before Christmas when it happened, and oh my word, that was an incredible. The Gubba guard setup into the Kanto choke, putting his opponent unconscious, and of course the video cuts off there on the full thing. You see the guy pop up and then take the referee down. It's a spectacular technique, and
it's a perfect double leg.
It was. I was talking about the submission. You're talking about the takedown. They're both spectacular. Yeah. But honestly, you're right. A lot of different events, like you've got submission only. You've got Kennedy Maciel versus Juni, and you've got Kainan versus Rodolfo, and then you've got gi tournaments like Felipe Andrew versus Keenan, Igor versus his opponent there in Japan, and then you've got BJJ Bet as well, which was a points tournament in Brazil. So there's lots of different lots of really, really good candidates. In fact. Yeah, I've got a list here of 20 potential submissions of the year. 20. That's how many standout submissions there were in 2020. 20 standout submissions that could all have easily been put on that list. But I mean, we had to choose the best, right? And it was tough because there were a lot to choose from.
There are a couple of firsts on this list too. Like Keenan's, it was his first time being submitted as a black belt.
Correct.
When Felipe Andrew hit that triangle armbar at Euros in the very beginning of the year. And then I believe that was Cyborg's first ever heel hook.
Correct.
And maybe second ever leg lock. It's something like that. Something so surprising for such an experienced athlete.
It was also the first time that Rodolfo Vieira had ever been tapped in a no-gi match. And Kainan caught him with a rear naked choke. So yeah, you're right. It's definitely an interesting list, and I think that, man, I mean, I don't know how people are going to choose this one. Are people going to choose it based on the just the execution of the technique? Are they going to look at purely the flow, the kind of the sequence of events that led to the finish? Or are they going to look at the story behind it? Somebody like Felipe Andrew beating Keenan Cornelius for your first ever time at black belt in the gi, by submission. There's a lot of factors to consider for this. Personally, I know which way I'm leaning. I don't want to say anything, but I'm interested to see what will drive people's decisions in this one.
100%. I'm with you. I think, like we mentioned just a moment ago, the first time something happens is always momentous. It makes it shine above a normal submission. So that's where I'm heading as far as my
Another thing for me for the submissions as well is like sometimes it's the shock value as well that makes it so spectacular, right? Because I mean, all of them were shocks in their own way. Well, maybe a couple of them were shocks in their way. Maybe Gordon versus Kyle Bain wasn't necessarily a shock. It was people were obviously picking Gordon as the heavy favorite going into that one, but it was the sort of the smoothness of the technique and the picture perfect execution that really got people's attention. But then Kainan submitting Rodolfo was mind blowing because the way it happened. Roberto submitting Kainan, Cyborg submitting Kainan was mind blowing because he just ripped on this heel hook out of nowhere. And Felipe Andrews like cobra strike with that triangle armbar against Keenan. Yeah. So there's a lot of different styles of submissions on this list as well, and I think it's a lot of them. They're notable not purely because of the way they happened or the execution of the technique, but also the fact that it was such a shock. They were kind of like out of nowhere almost.
Exactly. Well, that takes us through all of the nominations for the 2020 FloGrappling Awards. Voting is open for you guys at home until the end of day this Friday.
Just go to FloGrappling.com and then you'll see our website is full of all the links to the different categories. Vote for best submission, best match, best male, best female, best breakthrough grappler. It's all there, and then you can go on. There's a form, and you can choose your submissions for each category. It's that easy.
And then on Monday next week, we'll be revealing the winners. We're gonna have hopefully some messages from them, and of course some more info about maybe why they won. In the case of
I mean, it'll be great to be able to really dive into those winners and discuss how and why they were chosen as the year end. But I will say this, we're filming this. It's Wednesday today. The show will come out Thursday. Voting is open until the end of day Friday. It is not over by any means. Some of these categories are still very, very much up, for grabs. So your vote counts. I know everybody's a little bit tired of elections and stuff right now, but go do it. Go vote for your favorites.
All right. Well, that takes us through the awards section of today's podcast. But I did want to kind of kick off the year, right? Nothing's really happened yet, but we have a lot to look forward to in 2021. And I want to know, where do you think Jiu-Jitsu is going this year? What are we going to do?
It's a big question, and it's a little bit of an unknown, right? I think it's one of those things. It's like we know what we're hoping for in 2021. After everything that happened in 2020, we've kind of got a handle of, okay, well, this is possible and this is not. These things are going to happen or these may not. But ultimately, I think everybody's just hoping for a better year than we had, Some people have already started with some really strong work. Fight to Win have already put on, they've loaded the calendar for January, February, and March. They're going to have a ton of events. Basically, they go in weekly. They're going to start in the middle of January. They're going to have weekly events in Florida. And then they go to Texas, and they're going to be in Dallas for all of February and Austin for all of March. So, they're coming out strong, and they just want to, really get things going. That's their style, right? We're doing the same. We got Who's Number One targeted for February and another one for March. And, that's a plan, is we want to keep the Who's Number One event series going, as a showcase for the best grapplers. And, then there's the big news about one of our favorite promotions, one of our favorite events, right, Chase? ADCC.
100%. So there's been a lot of questions about when the trials are going to go down. When can we expect to see those rolled out? Well, we have some dates now. ADCC just announced that the trials are basically taking place 1 year after when they were originally scheduled. So we'll see the European, Middle East, and African Championship take place on September 18th, 2021 in Poland. The North American trials will take place November 6th in New Jersey. And then Asia and Oceania trials will take place December 11th in Singapore.
So it's pretty much exactly what they were scheduled to be in 2020, just pushed back by a year, just like the World Championships was, because it was September 2021. Well, that's been pushed to September 2022, unfortunately. So as we didn't get to host any of the trials events at all this year, they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to push everything back by 1 year and pick up where they left off.
So that's some pretty big news. Also, some exciting stuff for our fans on FloGrappling. BJJ Stars is coming back.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is Brazil's biggest professional event. I think that the eyes of the grappling world have very much been on the United States for most of 2020. There have been only a handful, really, of high-level events that took place over, the 2020 season, and BJJ Stars was definitely one of them. And we're happy to say that they're going to be back on FloGrappling starting February 6th with a heavyweight Grand Prix, featuring some very big names. You've got the likes of Nicholas Marigali, Lucas Hulk Barboza, Felipe Pena, and then a few.
I think Leandro Lowe's taking on Braguinha in a super fight.
Yeah, we've got some great super fights as well. So they're still announcing the names for the Grand Prix. We're still waiting to see exactly who's confirmed for that. But yeah, some of the super fights as well. You've got Leandro versus Braguinha, and we've got Roberto Jimenez versus Isaac Payens.
I think that's going to be no gi as well.
It is spicy.
That is spicy. All right, guys. Well, there's sort of a very, very short preview of what's to come, but that's exciting. There's plenty of events on the calendar. There's 4 or 5 different promotions right there that are all coming back. Of course, the IBJJF will be rolling out some events in the future, and we'll let you know when we have more on that. But it's going to be a good year. We just got to wait and see exactly how things unfold.
Stay positive.
So with that, thank you for joining us on the very first episode of Who's Number One in 2021. Wish you a good year, and we'll see you next week. Take care.